Used Lexus Hybrid, luxury badge, Toyota guts, hybrid tech that's already survived taxis and abuse, and you can buy one for the price of a new Corolla base. If you've ever thought, I want something comfortable and nice, but I don't want German car repair bills, or I'm older, I just want something quiet and smooth that doesn't break, a used Lexus Hybrid is exactly that lane, and it's the one almost nobody explains properly. People either say, Lexus is just fancy Toyota, they're all good, or hybrids are scary, the battery will bankrupt you. Both takes are lazy. I'm GearHead. I care about what actually fails on these cars, what quietly never does, and what that means when you're buying a 7 to 12-year-old luxury car you hope to keep. If you want that level of understanding before you jump into a used Lexus RX, ES, GS, or LS hybrid, make sure you're subscribed. This is one of the few places you'll see them broken down like systems, not just status symbols. Let's talk about why a used Lexus Hybrid might be the smartest luxury car you can buy. Start with what a Lexus Hybrid actually is. Strip away the leather and the badge, and under most Lexus Hybrids, you'll find a Toyota hybrid powertrain, or hybrid synergy drive, paired with a Toyota or Lexus engine wrapped in a nicer body and interior. Common examples include the RX 400h and RX 450h, which have Highlander hybrid and RAV4-ish DNA. The ES 300h and ES 350h have Camry and Avalon DNA under a Lexus suit. The GS 450h is sportier with Supra and GS lineage and big hybrid power. The LS 600h is the flagship V8 hybrid, the big boy stuff. And the NX and UX hybrids have RAV4 and Corolla Cross style underpinnings. What that really means is that you're not buying some exotic one-off luxury drivetrain. You're buying Toyota's most refined hybrid tech, turned up slightly, packaged nicely, and sold to people who usually maintain their cars better than average. Mechanically, you get the same e-CVT hybrid transaxle architecture that has already proven it can do 200,000 to 300,000 plus miles in Priuses and Camry hybrids. You get Atkins e-cycle gas engines that are understressed and assisted by electric motors. You get battery packs that Toyota and Lexus manage conservatively for long life. And you get inverters and electronics built from the same philosophy as Toyota's mass-market hybrids. Then, Lexus adds better sound deadening, higher-grade interior materials, nicer seats and ergonomics, and more features, but usually not the weird tech for tech's sake that eats German cars alive in old age. That's the basic formula. Now, let's talk about why that matters when the car is 8 to 12 years old and no longer shiny. Reason 1. You're getting Toyota-level mechanical reliability with Lexus-level comfort. In the luxury space, most competitors are German brands like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, with complex turbo engines, multi-gear automatics, air suspension, and a forest of electronics. Or there are some American or other imports that are hit or miss on long-term durability. Those can be absolutely amazing when new and under warranty, but once they're 7 to 10 plus years old and out of coverage, you see turbo seals and wastegates, high-pressure fuel pumps and injectors, carbon buildup on intake valves, air suspension compressors, bags and valves, transmission valve bodies and mechatronics, and sensor networks, door modules, command, iDrive, or MMI failures. It's a lot. Lexus hybrids, by contrast, tend to use naturally aspirated engines, meaning no turbo, especially in the RX and ES generations you're likely to buy used. They use Toyota's e-CVT power split gearbox with a low part count, no shifting clutches, and no torque converter. They rely on electric motors and the battery to give torque and smoothness rather than turbos and complicated gearboxes. And they have fewer horror stories about catastrophic drivetrain failures. If you maintain them decently, with oil changes using proper 0W20 synthetics, keep the coolant and inverter cooling systems healthy, get an occasional automatic transmission fluid change in the hybrid transaxle, and keep the battery fan and intake clean, you'll find more RX and ES hybrids at 150,000 to 250,000 miles still doing their job than almost any comparable luxury SUV or sedan from Europe. The core hybrid system is often less fragile than a normal ZF or GM automatic in some other brands. Reason 2. Lexus hybrid batteries aren't the scary time bombs people think. People hear hybrid and instantly freak out about the battery, saying things like, when that goes, isn't it like $5 grand? Won't the car be worthless? With Toyota and Lexus hybrids, the real story is calmer. Many original nickel metal hydride packs in older Priuses and Lexus hybrids last for 10 to 15 plus years before needing serious attention. Lexus models often see kinder use cycles with longer drives and highway miles, which is easier on the packs than short, brutal taxi duty. Toyota manages the state of charge conservatively, so you rarely actually hit 0% or 100%, which keeps the chemistry in a healthy middle band. And the most common killer of packs isn't age, but heat, often from clogged cooling fans and intakes, which is an easy maintenance item. If and when a pack does need replacement on an older Lexus, you can get brand new original equipment manufacturer packs in many markets. You can get remanufactured packs from hybrid specialists. You can even get module-level repairs, though that's more of a band-aid than a cure. And because hybrids save gas and the Lexus brand holds its value, even an older RX 450h or ES 300h can justify a few $1,000s on a battery at 12 to 15 years if the rest of the car is solid. Plus, by the time you're buying one today used, most of the early hybrid teething issues are already known. You're not guessing. Reason 3, depreciation works in your favor. New Lexus hybrids are expensive. That's normal. Luxury buyers eat the first 30 to 40% of the value in the first 4 to 5 years. You don't have to. You can buy, for example, a 5 to 8-year-old RX 450h with 70,000 to 120,000 miles, a 6 to 10-year-old ES 300h with 80,000 to 150,000 miles, a well-kept GS 450h if you like sportier sedans, or an UX or NX hybrid that's a few years old for similar money to a new loaded Corolla or Civic, or a new mid-trim RAV4 or CRV. Except, your used Lexus is quieter, it rides nicer, it has better seats and more sound insulation, and it still holds its value well. Lexus used prices don't fall off a cliff the way many German cars do when they age. Part of the reason why is because the market knows Toyota and Lexus hybrid longevity. Buyers trust a used Lexus hybrid more than a used turbo German luxury car with an 8-speed automatic. You're essentially letting the first owner pay for the new car hit, and any initial bugs, and some of the scheduled dealer markup service.
You step in when the car has proven it isn't a lemon. Most major bugs would have already surfaced, and there's still many years of life left in both the hybrid system and the interior. Reason 4. The comfort and refinement doesn't wear out like you think. Old luxury cars often scare people because they've seen cracked dashboards, delaminating wood trim, sagging seats, pixelated instrument clusters, and glitchy infotainment. Lexus is notoriously conservative with interior design and material quality. That sounds boring until you buy one used. You get seats that still feel supportive, not collapsed, switchgear that still clicks cleanly, plastics that have held up to the sun in years better than a lot of competitors, and simple, functional infotainment that might not be sexy but still works. A 7-year-old RX 450h or ES 35h interior almost always looks less tired than a 7-year-old German equivalent that costs the same or more when new. The hybrid powertrain also changes how the car ages from the driver's seat. There's less engine revving and harsh shifts, so less noise, vibration, and harshness where to begin with. Electric assist smooths out the drivetrain so the car feels calm for longer, and the brakes wear more slowly due to regeneration, resulting in less squeal and vibration from worn-out brakes. So even at 120,000 to 160,000 miles, a Lexus hybrid can feel substantially more together than other luxury cars at the same mileage. Reason 5. As a used buyer, you benefit from Lexus owner behavior. Who buys new Lexus hybrids? Often, they're older, conservative buyers who care more about comfort and reliability than thrashing performance. They're professionals and families who want something nice but not flashy. And they're people who are more likely to follow maintenance schedules and go to dealers. That's not a guarantee, but it's a pretty good demographic advantage. The average first-owner Lexus hybrid life looks more like regular highway trips, dealer service, and calm driving than overboosted fun, track days, and lease and dump abuse. That means fewer ragged-out examples on the used market, a higher probability that the previous owner fixed things correctly, and better overall mechanical condition for the age. You still inspect, of course, but the starting odds are much kinder than with many used European or performance-branded luxury cars. But let's be honest, it's not all roses. If you're shopping for a used Lexus hybrid, you still need to be smart. Things to watch for include the cooling systems, like the radiators, hoses, water pumps, and inverter cooling loops. Any history of overheating is a red flag, so walk away or investigate deeply. Look for engine-specific issues. On early RX 400h and 450h V6s, check for oil leaks and normal high-mileage wear. On some engines, check for carbon buildup or head gasket issues if they were abused or neglected, though this is less common than on Priuses, but still worth a look. For the battery and fan, check for high-voltage battery codes with a decent scanner. Make sure the fan and ducts are not clogged with dust and pet hair. Listen for the battery fan screaming at high speed all the time under light loads, as this might indicate heat stress. For suspension and steering, many Lexus hybrids use more complex multi-link setups. Shocks, bushings, and links may be tired at 100,000 to 150,000 miles. Budget to refresh some of this and the car will feel new again. Finally, check for rust if you're in a salty region. Even a Lexus shell can rot if it's lived in road salt for a decade. But here's the key. These are normal used car checks, not exotic hybrid nightmare inspections. You are in practice doing the same due diligence as you would on a Toyota, plus a quick hybrid scan and cooling check. You are not walking into an unknown like some complex German twin-turbo plus air suspension plus 9-speed automatic circus. So why is a used Lexus hybrid the smartest luxury car you can buy? Because it sits in a unique triangle. 1. Luxury, genuinely comfortable, quiet, well-built interiors and features. 2. Hybrid efficiency, less fuel, less wear, and smoother driving. 3. Toyota-grade proven reliability, drivetrain designs that have already outlived expectations in taxis and family cars. Most used luxury cars give you luxury plus performance, but no reliability or efficiency. Some EVs give you refinement plus efficiency, but no long-term track record and weird depreciation. Lexus hybrids give you enough performance, plenty of comfort, excellent efficiency for their segment, and one of the best reliability profiles for any luxury brand. If you're realistic, you want something nice, efficient, and low drama for the next 5 to 10 years, a well-chosen used Lexus hybrid is one of the smartest plays you can make. If this made you rethink what used luxury actually should look like, make sure you're subscribed. Next, I'm going to break down specific models and years, RX 400h versus 450h versus 450h Plus, ES 300h generations, and GS 450h quirks, and show you which ones to hunt, which to avoid, and exactly what to check before you buy so your smart move doesn't turn into someone else's deferred maintenance problem. I'm GearHead. Every luxury car has a story, and together, we're going to make sure the one you buy is the chapter where you finally get comfort and peace of mind at the same time.